The story takes place in 1879. A man named Coffee visits his lover and gives her a brooch that once belonged to his mother. The brooch is given to her as a keepsake because he will have to leave for a few days. But one night, Mary Ann's family is attacked by a group of unknown intruders. Mary Ann and her family quickly hide in an underground cellar beneath the house. The attackers still manage to find them. From the claw marks on their bodies, it is clear that the attackers do not seem to be human. The next day, Coffee returns with the intention of visiting Mary Ann, but when he opens the door, he is horrified to find the members of Mary Ann's family dead, while Mary Ann herself has disappeared without a trace. Coffee immediately reports this to his friend John, and the two believe this might be the work of hostile indigenous tribes or Native Americans. Because of this, Coffee seeks out a former soldier named William, who at that moment is camping with his girlfriend and her son Dobie. William does not hesitate and quickly prepares to leave. Dobie also asks to join because his mother believes William will protect him, so she agrees to let the boy go along. After that, William examines the scene of the other victims and discovers they all have wounds on their necks. Not only that, but the group also finds many strange holes in the ground around the victims' homes. At the same time, John returns with a search party led by Henry Victor. Victor brings along his personal cook, as well as a man from an indigenous tribe who has been hired to join the expedition. After burying the victims, they begin their journey to search for Mary Ann. Along the way, William's horse suddenly sinks into a patch of unstable ground, which they do not realize has a corpse buried underneath. After a long ride, Victor sees an indigenous man riding a horse appear ahead. Without hesitation, Victor shoots the horse and then chases the man. The indigenous cannot run as fast as Victor's horse, so he is eventually captured. William immediately asks the indigenous about Mary Ann's whereabouts and even shows him a picture of her. However, the man remains completely silent and refuses to cooperate. Victor, who is cruel by nature, begins torturing the indigenous in hopes of forcing him to talk. By nightfall, the torture continues. The man is tied up, the soles of his feet are cut open and the bones in his legs are pulled out. Witnessing this, Walnut feels pity and secretly brings food to the indigenous. Not long after, Victor discovers the man eating, which makes him furious because he wants to continue torturing him until he speaks. To keep Walnut out of trouble, Coffee lies and says he was the one who gave the food. Hearing this, Victor prepares to whip Coffee, but John immediately steps in front of him with a gun in his hand ready to protect Coffee. Before the situation becomes even more chaotic, Coffee apologizes first, causing the tension to temporarily calm down. As the night grows darker, 3 of Victor's men are assigned to stand guard while the rest go to sleep. At that moment, a mysterious creature moves through the thick bushes nearby. One of the guards hears a sound, but it turns out to be only the noise of a drunken companion. The next morning, the group is shocked to discover that several of Victor's men have mysteriously disappeared. Victor immediately blames the indigenous and claims that he and his allies must have kidnapped them. However, the indigenous explains that it is the work of the Burrowers, a species of cannibal creatures that live underground, and sooner or later they will attack the group as well. But Victor and the others believe that Burrowers is simply the name of another tribe. At the same time, Dobie discovers many more holes around the place where they are resting. John believes this is an important clue and decides to separate from Victor's team. 4 of them ride out to search for other holes. When night falls, they stop to rest. Just then the group is startled when a figure suddenly appears from the darkness. It turns out to be Walnut. Walnut admits that he is tired of following Victor and wants to join Coffee and the others. In the end, John agrees to let Walnut come along, on the condition that he must obey orders absolutely. The next morning, Coffee and the group continue their journey. Along the way, they discover more of the same holes until they find a wagon full of valuable belongings that has been abandoned. Looking around, Dobie notices human hair buried under the ground. When they dig it up, they discover a woman with wounds identical to the previous victims. Strangely, she is still alive, but her body is completely stiff and unable to move, looking almost like a corpse. Despite the many questions, they continue moving forward. Dobie is assigned the task of taking the woman back to the settlement in the wagon. As Coffee and the others travel through the forest, they are suddenly surrounded by a group of indigenous. Coffee immediately fires his gun but misses the target, and he himself falls and gets injured after being kicked by Walnut's horse. That reckless action makes John furious and he warns Coffee to follow orders. They continue deeper into the forest, but while they are moving rather calmly, a bullet suddenly hits John in the neck, killing him instantly. The sudden attack from the indigenous group forces Coffee, Walnut and William to fight back. The 3 of them take cover behind the horses that have been shot down and fire their guns when the enemies move closer. Meanwhile, Dobie spends the night in the open field with the woman. Suddenly, he hears a noise in the bushes. Then a mysterious creature jumps out and claws Dobie's neck. Not stopping there, the creature spits into the wound, causing the liquid to seep into his body. It turns out the saliva has a numbing effect that leaves the victim alive but completely unable to move, making them appear dead. The creature is a burrower. The burrower then eats the internal organs of the woman while Dobie is carried away and buried alive underground. In another place, William and Walnut wait for the indigenous group to leave. There, William tells Coffee and Walnut to collect poisonous leaves and burn them to drive away those who are watching them. After that, the three continue their journey. The next day, while resting, Coffee and William talk with each other. Coffee expresses his worries about Marianne. When night falls, William lets Coffee and Walnut rest. However, when Coffee and Walnut wake up, they realize William has disappeared. Coffee begins to suspect that William intentionally used him and Walnut as bait for the indigenous. Just then they hear a noise in the bushes. When Coffee throws a torch toward the darkness, a burrower with a horrifying appearance suddenly appears. And at that exact moment, William, who is hiding in the bushes, is suddenly slashed across the neck by the burrower. Luckily, Walnut reacts quickly and fires his gun, causing the burrowers to retreat immediately. After being wounded, William does not feel any pain from the claw mark. Gradually, he also begins to lose sensation in part of his face. Afraid that the creatures might return to attack them, William and Walnut continue their journey. After traveling quite a distance, they see a flickering fire in the distance and move closer. It turns out the fire belongs to an indigenous woman named Faith. Faith says that her family was killed by the burrowers and she is the only survivor. She begins to explain that the burrowers have existed for a very long time, even before humans appeared. In the past, these savage creatures hunted and ate buffalo. Burrowers have a unique hunting method. They wound their prey and then use saliva to paralyze them. After that, they bury the victims alive underground so their bodies can slowly decompose. When the blood begins to clot and the internal organs become softer, the burrowers return to eat their prey, and their favorite part is the internal organs. Over time, humans hunted buffalo to extinction, which left the burrowers without food and forced them to start hunting humans instead. Faith also tells them that her father once spoke about the Ute tribe, the people who had fought against the burrowers. However, the Ute are extremely cunning and never reveal their method of killing the burrowers to anyone. Hearing this, William becomes determined to find the Ute tribe, hoping they might know how to treat his wound. After that, Coffee and Walnut bring Faith with them to search for the Ute tribe. In truth, Walnut does not fully agree with going to the Ute just to find medicine for William, because their original goal was to find Marianne. However, Coffee believes the medicine might be useful later, so the group ultimately decides to follow William's plan. Before long, they enter the territory of the Ute tribe. In the middle of the night, Coffee dreams of a hole and sees Marianne inside it. He wakes up in shock, while William has stayed awake all night unable to sleep. He even threatens to shoot anyone who dares to abandon him there, while his body becomes increasingly stiff and harder to move. At that moment, the burrowers appear again. Coffee and Walnut immediately open fire at them. Even though his body has become rigid, William still tries to shoot back, but his bullet goes off target and hits Walnut in the leg. After that round of gunfire, the burrowers temporarily retreat. Faith panics and begs everyone to leave this place, but William stubbornly insists on staying and even threatens to shoot them. However, his arm has grown too weak for him to pull the trigger, and Coffee manages to snatch the gun away from him. After that, Coffee forces Walnut and Faith to leave with him to find a safer place. Because Walnut's leg wound keeps bleeding, they are forced to stop and rest. At that moment, two men from the Ute tribe appear. Coffee speaks to them in French, explaining that he is searching for his missing lover, who may have been captured by the burrowers. The two Ute men say they can solve the problem using bait, and the bait they mention is William, who is already close to death. The two Ute men then forcefully take William away and threaten to kill Coffee if he follows them. Before leaving, one of the Ute leaves behind a small hanging charm containing several tiny objects. There, Coffee notices a hairpin that he once gave to Marianne, which leads him to believe that his lover might already be dead. Walnut therefore advises Coffee to leave this place, but Coffee refuses and decides to chase after the Ute tribe, because now nowhere feels safe anymore. He chooses instead to discover the method for killing the burrowers as well as the way to cure the wounds caused by them. Coffee enters the forest and follows the tracks of the two Ute men, remaining alert with his gun in hand. Suddenly, one of the Ute ambushes him and knocks him to the ground, but Coffee immediately shoots the man dead. He continues deeper into the forest and eventually finds William tied up alone among the trees. When Coffee tries to untie him, William suddenly grabs Coffee's gun and shoots him in the arm. Caught off guard, Coffee stumbles backward and his leg becomes trapped in a bear trap. William keeps firing wildly and one of the bullets accidentally hits the other Ute man. While Coffee struggles to free his leg from the trap, several burrowers appear and begin tearing apart William, who is now extremely weak. Not long after, another burrower moves toward Coffee. Luckily, Coffee notices another trap nearby and quickly throws it toward the creature in front of him. Coffee finally manages to remove the bear trap from his leg. At that moment, another burrower approaches the badly wounded Ute man who was shot earlier. Coffee grabs a sharpened wooden stake and repeatedly stabs the monster until it dies. Looking around, he discovers that many other burrowers have collapsed and become motionless after being poisoned. It turns out that earlier, the surviving Ute had deliberately forced William to drink a type of poison. As a result, the burrowers that attacked William also became poisoned, gradually paralyzed and then collapsed. The Ute then tells Coffee to use the sharpened stakes that had already been prepared to finish them off. Just then another burrower suddenly bursts out from underground and attacks Coffee. Fortunately, Coffee reacts in time, smashing the creature's head and then piercing it through with a wooden stake. Soon after, the sun rises and its light begins to burn the burrowers to death. From that moment, the secret of how the Ute tribe kills the burrowers is finally revealed. After that, Coffee returns to look for Walnut and Faith, bringing the wounded Ute man with him. However, because the condition of Walnut and the others does not allow them to travel long distances, Coffee decides to go to the nearest settlement to find a doctor and then come back later. On the way, Coffee runs into Victor's men, who bring him back to Victor's camp. But when he arrives, Coffee's heart sinks as he sees that Faith and the wounded Ute have been hanged to death by Victor. Meanwhile, Walnut has also died after having his leg amputated. This was done because Victor wanted to eliminate the indigenous and place all the blame on them. Completely unaware of the truth behind everything, the film ends with a grim scene of the burrowers continuing to devour human internal organs. And with that, the story finally comes to an end.